just want to introduce myself. My name is Rachel Owner and I work on the CCC team and obviously co-chair of OTLA. OTLA have been delighted to run a strand on the OTLA project this year. It's really exciting ESOL projects, and I want to pass on really big thanks to the three amazing talented mentors that we have, Chloe, Emily and Kathy. Big round of applause to them, and to our 8 fantastic and dedicated teams who've come up with some fantastic projects. I'm so looking forward to looking at these presentations that are coming up now. And just to reiterate, we heard at the beginning about your reports, your final reports that have been seen by the ETF, etc., coming out, and generally they said that they thought they were really good standard, so exciting, some of the best they've seen. So pat on the backs to everybody there. So I'm going to shut up and I'm going to hand over to Chloe, because Chloe, it's your turn to introduce your 3 super teams. So over to you.
Thank you very much, Rachel. Well, first of all, I just want to say that it's been really great. I've really enjoyed mentoring again this year, amongst lots of other fantastic stuff going on through OTLA, but I've really enjoyed particularly mentoring the 3 groups, folks from Islington, folks from Essex, and also Bristol as well. So you are going to hear up from David and Colin from Islington first, and then we'll hand over to Amy from Bristol, and then Vicky and Alex from Essex.
Okay, so this was a continuation of a project looking at how to develop additional skills or EDS skills for ESOL learners. One thing we discovered is that we were finding that a lot of ESOL learners were being put into, they were deemed as having low-level ESOL digital skills, but actually it was the language that was used. The digital skills were far greater than some of our ESOL tutors, because you're more used to using digital skills than maybe some of our ESOL tutors were when they come to the UK. So this element that we found with ESOL, where it said, oh, they can't use digital skills. It wasn't they can't use digital skills, it was the language that was being used. So I have cheated slightly with my PowerPoint, because Colin can't be with us, as you know. So we basically got Colin to do the presentation. So I'm going to try and share this now. If it doesn't work, Chloe, can you, because we have a block, we may have a block on our sharing on Zoom from the council, but let's see if it works.
Welcome to this presentation from Islington Adult Community Learning. My name is Colin Gardner, and I'd like to share with you our action research project, which we've carried out as part of the Education and Training Foundation's OTLA 8 project. Just to give you a bit of context, Islington ACL is a local authority adult and community learning provider in North London. We operate out of dedicated spaces in libraries, children's centres, community venues and partner spaces. And we deliver a wide range of courses, including maths and English, digital skills, ESOL, community engagement, vocational and employability skills to around 2,000 students every year. For this project, our focus was on supporting the essential digital skills of ESOL and low-level English students. In this presentation, I'll also introduce you to a powerful resource. It's an in-house produced PowerPoint resource that we've crafted and used as a tool to help develop learners' knowledge and confidence in the application of essential digital skills. I'll also share with you some of the challenges, and there were a few, that we met along the way and overcame, and I'll share those with you later. And of course, we'll look at the impact of the resource and the project as a whole on teaching, learning and assessment. So a lot to get through. Let's get started. So what did we create? Well, we created, as I said earlier, a powerful multi-layered bespoke PowerPoint resource. Our aim was to introduce a clear step-by-step guide to a range of relevant, essential digital skills in an accessible, visual and practical way. In fact, we created this resource as part of an earlier ETF project, the OTLA 7 last year. Now, having had the chance to refine it and enhance it, we were all set to road test it with our learners. With a return to face-to-face teaching in the classroom, it was particularly exciting and satisfying to be able to engage with adult learners who might otherwise have been digitally excluded, as many were during the worst periods of the pandemic. Now, using a variety of handheld devices and access to free Wi-Fi and apps, many more were now able to engage with and acquire those essential digital skills with us. There isn't the time just now to go through everything contained in this resource. It covers so much, everything from apps to Zoom meetings and so much more in between, as you can see. As we're here, let's take a close-up look at one of the sections. I've chosen presenting work as a really good example because, one, it links to when classes were being delivered remotely and students were submitting work in a variety of ways. Secondly, it utilises a device, the smartphone, that's ubiquitous in its use among students at almost every level. And thirdly, because as we found out, the skills acquired have many useful applications in the everyday lives of our students. It's based on one slide with multiple animations contained within it. In this case, we're learning how to take photos of coursework that can then be mailed to the tutor for marking. Individual animations combine to highlight the 3 essential steps needed in order to take well-presented, clear photographs of their work. Lighting, angle, framing. And I'll hold my hand up now and say that I have used this, learned a great deal from it, and vastly improved the photographic work that I am forwarding to colleagues and indeed students. Here's, oh yes, a nice little animation just to finish off as a recap. I think I'm hiding the light source there, but you know where it is. And here's an example of work submitted to a tutor before. Lots of shadow. And after the embedded essential digital skills session. Spot the difference if you can. I said earlier there were challenges. This is an extremely big PowerPoint resource. It contained 164 slides and lots of animations contained within that. It took a long time to download and open the file on some computers, and for those using other devices, handheld devices, it was almost impossible. And unfortunately, the 2 colleagues who were largely responsible for initially putting this resource together, this fine resource together, sadly they weren't available to work with us at this stage of the project. Having said that, the current team did pull together and came up with a workable solution, namely splitting the resource into separate standalone topics, like this example for keyboards. This is a screenshot, as you can see, and it shows that the topic is now covered over 5 slides. The asterisks on slides 1 to 3 denote multiple animations, and the 5th slide references further digital skills self-study resources. A much more manageable, topic-specific resource, accessible to all regardless of the device used. We were also fortunate that by the time we were using this resource, funding had been found to update hardware and software in some of the key learning spaces, and this proved to be critical. Participation in this project and in this piece of action research has had a demonstrable impact on teaching, learning and assessment. Teachers themselves felt inspired and invigorated to try out new approaches to share their findings and expertise and could appreciate better the impact of digital exclusion and the transformative effect of digital inclusion among their students, including an increase in confidence. Students overcame anxieties around using technology and in particular about using the internet safely. Some found functions on their phones and other devices that, as they told us, quite literally changed their life. And the rewards of being part of a community of practice will resonate well into the future as teachers prepare workshops for each other and create their own innovations to add to the resource. Finally, this project has demonstrated that it is possible to support the EDS development of ESOL and low-level English students by embedding innovative resources into their classes. Doing so empowers and liberates students who may have been anxious about accessing or using digital resources, and it supports teaching and learning and encourages teachers to be innovative and inspiring. And it demonstrates that acquiring essential digital skills is accessible to everyone. The teachers involved in this project look forward to sharing their experiences with colleagues across the service and expanding their community of practice. Thank you for watching.
So I hope that worked. so now I've got the opportunity. Any questions? So there's an advantage of somebody else doing the video and presenting, and you can then take the questions as they come in. So it was a really great project, and it has developed some of our. I think it's really helped with the tutors more than the learners in a way, because it's allowed the tutors to develop a wider set of skills which they're able to pass on to the learners. So it's been really useful from that point of view. Yeah, it has helped learning as well, but really the CPD element for staff has really shown how they can improve different methods within the lessons. So that's it really. So any questions? Yeah, agree. Yeah, it's great support and skills on both fronts. Yeah, and it really does help. That's it.
Go on, Emily. Emily's got a question for you, Dave.
I can't see. See, I can't see it.
Is the resource available to other colleges? Is it shareable?
Yes.
Yeah. On the website.
We originally put it onto the community of practice one, but you can take it off and it's on there. So we are happy to share it because it was paid by ETF, and therefore we have to share it. So we're happy to share it.
Good.
I think that's part of the action research thing. If we do things like this, we're meant to share it. So yeah.
Cool. Could you put the link in the chat?
It should also be on their interactive report page from last year as a big resource.
Okay.
It's big size. But we'll have a chat about the interactive page on our website, Dave, for what you'd like to put on there as the resource itself, whether you want to do it in little chunks or whatever, however you want it presented. I'll do it for
one
you.
of the problems is it's too big to download.
Yeah.
So when we're sending it across to people, it was just too massive. Unless you put it through. So I was doing it through our security IGRIS system we use for social care to download onto to pass over to people, because the document was just too big, so we couldn't share it. So we put it onto the website, but we need to look at a way of breaking it down into different units to make it easier to share across. That was our biggest problem with it. It was a great set of resources, but it was just too big in the format that was in there. You need to cut it down as well. Also, as well, for learners to use it, they needed, in a way we're finding, they needed those bite bits they wanted to do, those elements that they needed to look at, rather than the whole thing altogether. All learners, they've all got spiky profiles like we have, it's, yeah, available to share.
Okay.
Does anyone else have any more questions before we move on to Amy from City Bristol? No, cool. Okay, right. Thank you very, very much to David and Colin.
And Colin, who's not with us.
Who's not?
Who's covering the
Exactly,
class
right
as a
we're going to pass on over now to Amy, who is going to share with you a little bit of explorations they've been doing with an app called FlashAcademy.
Yeah, so hello everyone. I've been running around, I'm glowing because it's our whole college CPD day today. So I've organised a whole college conference for 800 staff across 2 campuses. So the timing couldn't have possibly been worse. So I've been zipping about all over, so I'm kind of dipping in and out best I can. Obviously, because of that, the team that have been involved in the project, so I was sort of supported as a deputy lead. The team that have been involved in the project are taking part in their development activities in CPD today. So they send their apologies and their best wishes. And I'm really, really pleased that you're recording it, because then they'll be able to catch up.
College in Bristol. A little bit of context. City of Bristol College is the principal provider of approximately 1,500 learners a year, and we aim to support all learners to gain language skills and qualifications, and ultimately to progress in education, work and independent living. Our ESOL learners come from all over the world, but predominantly from places where there is geopolitical conflict, and hence there is a huge focus on pastoral care alongside the learning. Now, the pandemic and home learning certainly raised the profile of electronic learning, both its benefits and its flaws, and it was within that context that this research project was set up. The project simply asks how effective an electric language learning app might be in supporting ESOL learning inside and outside of the classroom. Now, the electronic app that we chose was called FlashAcademy, mainly distinguished from other electronic language learning apps due to its facility of learners being able to choose the language within which they are taught, either their own language or English. It's also got an element of competition, but this is that's fairly standard for most learning apps nowadays. In many respects, the app itself was secondary and incidental to the project, and the real focal point, the main focal point, was all of those taking part in it and their experiences of the process of the research, as opposed to the content relating to the specific app that we used. Now, there were 5 groups of learners, with 3 teachers and 2 project leads. The 5 classes were given in-class and homework tasks, and also encouraged to use this app as much as they wanted independently. They were informed at the beginning wholly of the research programme, and were told that their views would be sought at the end. They also knew that an event with prizes and a buffet celebration was to be the nature of the project. A large part of the learning experience for the teachers within this research project was around how to facilitate a positive experience for the learners, not with the app as such, but within the research context, a positive, inclusive experience. Now, it's, how do we gain honest feedback, and how best to value the learner input? Those were the central issues for us. Now, given that the students varied in English language ability greatly from low level to high level, as well as having a wide range of ages from 16 to 50 plus, were from many different cultures and spoke upwards of 15 languages between them. This needed some creative thinking. So that's a brief introduction to the project, and the rest of this presentation will show the viewer how the project went and what we and the learners experienced.
Yeah, so you took part in our study about FlashAcademy. Can you tell me a little bit about it? How did you find it?
Well, I think FlashAcademy is very useful and convenient to use, especially when you can able to use your level, and also variety of topics. Each lesson we learn new words, especially correct pronunciation and correct using in sentence. And also I want to emphasize the benefits of grammar and vocabulary words, which is very important for us, and we can extend our vocabulary.
Good, thank you. And Ruben, what did you think?
I agree with that, and also I like the camera that we can use with the app, because don't say just the object, but sometimes also the adjective, so we can memorize, like she said, the new words, new vocabulary. And also I like the way that the app has to give us the English pronunciation, because do not allow you to speak your foreign pronunciation, but it wants you to speak a good, very English. So I think it's very, very useful.
Good. And would you recommend it, that we use it again?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
For our level, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
If someone wants to go further, okay, it's nice, yes.
For your level, yeah.
Yeah, I would recommend as well, like additional educational resource, because for us, it's any new thing, any new book, it's good.
Yeah, helpful. Well, thank you for taking part in the study. How did you find taking part in the study for the college?
I think it's an honor.
Yeah. I'm glad we were really happy to have you. And you, Rana, what did you feel?
Yeah, I think I'm very thankful for everyone and everything you provide us, because anything for us, it's new, and we're glad
to take part.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Hi guys, I'm going to ask you some questions about the FlashAcademy research project, about your experiences. What did you think, Zishan?
I think you can learn new words about journal life, about work and finance, which helped me to get a new job. I think this will help me a lot.
Okay, thanks. And what about you, Rashid?
If you don't understand something, they will explain you neatly and nicely. And if you get something wrong, they will repeat it until you have it correct.
Okay. Abdussalam?
And my positive opinion, it's easy to use the app, and also it is everyone can understand, nice and clear, and also it's helpful to improve your English, also vocabulary. So it was very excellent.
Okay. Shko, what's your opinion about it?
I think the application is slow, and it takes a lot of time to log in, and they have problem with other languages and spelling, and I think they have problem with point system.
Okay. Okay. And what about being part of a research project, Ahmad? What was your experience of that?
Yeah, it was so interesting for me to take part research project about everything that you want. It was also about FlashAcademy, and all the people say his and her opinion about FlashAcademy, and also we have done in College Green to listen to other people feedback and opinion about FlashAcademy.
Okay. And what about you, Shko? What was your experience of being involved in the research project?
It's interesting, and I met new people. I heard their opinion, what they are thinking about FlashAcademy, and
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
At the end of the research, we decided to bring all of the learners involved in the research together for a final capture of evidence and as a social activity to thank them for their participation. We posed closed questions to the learners and got them to move around the room to the number that best reflected their answer. Following that, the learners were put into smaller focus groups and asked open-ended questions. Prizes were then awarded to the learner in each class who had scored the highest number of points FlashAcademy. And at the end, all the learners were treated to a buffet lunch in the student restaurant. The event was a real success and the students enjoyed it. It was good for them to meet up with other students of different ages, as the teenagers and adults rarely mix at college. They gave lots of ideas and opinions about FlashAcademy, and they enjoyed sitting down to eat together, and the buffet lunch was delicious. It was also a really good opportunity for members of the senior leadership team and the ESOL students to meet each other and talk in a relaxed environment.
Project has given the participants, ESOL teachers and students, the opportunity for reflection on the use of language apps, such as FlashAcademy, as a learning tool. The research revealed that the app had many positives. For example, the teachers were able to track learner progress, the content of the app broadly followed the ESOL curriculum, and the app could be used for pre-learning or to consolidate learning at the end. And students found the competitive aspect of the leaderboard incentivizing. And there were a few drawbacks, such as that the app would glitch sometimes, which was a source of great frustration because when the learners had accumulated all these points, they suddenly lost all their work and dropped to the end of the leaderboard, despite their best efforts. But all in all, this project has given us the understanding of the needs of the students and the teachers when critiquing apps as a tool for learning. And this is a very useful exercise in informing the rest of the team as to what we should be looking for and what to avoid when choosing a language learning app. For the students, taking part in the study in such a way was a new experience and quite empowering, as their opinion was valued and would influence the decisions made by the college for future students and for themselves as well. And this gave the teachers time to explicitly reflect on a learning tool. So I hope we were able to convey what we have experienced and gained from this study.
There we go. Got there in the end.
Oh, thank you so much, Amy. Goodness me, I can see why you are so so proud of your practitioners, your teachers, and also the learners that took part of it. That video, that was really fantastic to hear from them and to hear from the teachers telling their story of the past few months. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Has anybody got any questions they'd like to ask?
There we go. I've removed the spotlight, so it's open up to the room. If anyone has any questions, pop them in chat or just unmute yourself and ask.
Oh. Such a comprehensive presentation. I'll pass that on to the team.
I was going to ask a question.
Go for it.
Okay. You mentioned the lady mentioned the thing about it glitching and then the learners going back down to the bottom again with like a list. Did that upset any of the learners, or were they?
So that again, did it upset them?
Yeah, did it upset them because all the work was lost?
They didn't lose their work; they just lost the points. So they have like XP points, where like the more you do, the more points you get. So it kind of gives them a little bit of competitiveness. They didn't lose the work; they lost. Yeah, they just lost the points. So they were a bit annoyed, especially the more competitive ones that got quite up there. So we managed to kind of factor that in when we gave them a little prize at the end for the highest ones. We'd already kind of clocked, well, actually who was doing really well before then, and just made a mental note of it. So they didn't miss out.
Because they are competitive.
Oh, extremely.
Especially on that.
Yeah, extremely. And it was interesting, obviously, the difference, you know, we saw there the boys, the Andrew students, the teenage boys, his group, so there's significant more males in his groups, so there was quite a lot of competitiveness, and you kind of got that when they came down into the restaurant for the lunch as well. There was that kind of, you know, geeing each other on a little bit. It was lovely.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Has anyone else got any more questions?
Is it all pre-programmed? I'm just having a look at the FlashAcademy website.
Yeah, so they pre-program it, and it tied in. One of the things that we wanted to look at was how closely it did tie in with the curriculum, and it did. They said it, you know, the students and the staff both felt that it aligned quite nicely with what they would teach.
One of the things that you did that just made me go, I love that idea. That's something I'm definitely nicking. I mean, that's what it's all about, really, isn't
absolutely.
it?
Sharing.
As Dr. Andy Convery says, pinch and personalise. We're all about that, aren't we? But it was the event that you did at the end that just really made, you know, like, why do you think that was so important? Why did you do it? Why do you think it was so important?
We just thought, I mean, my background, so I work in the quality team, but before my quality role, I worked in the catering department. So I've still got those links, and I still help out, and I still teach and stuff like that. So that was really easy for me to organise. And I said, we had this idea of we were going to do it by classroom and get each one to basically do the activity in their classes, in their individual lessons. And me and Carolyn were like, well, can we bring them together to just do it as one big group? And then where would it? I was like, well, if we could get them to College Green, that's where the college, you know, that's where one of the student restaurants is. I said, there's a huge space. We could get them moving around. We could get them interacting with each other. And I was like, I'll sort out a bit of buffet. I spoke to the chef. I saw what we could kind of put together, and it was just fantastic. And like I say, in the video, they had SLT come down, and I just think they built some really good relationships there, because, for example, there was some of the level 2 adult groups helped translate for some of the entry level groups. And also there was a student found another student who speaks, so they're from Afghanistan, but they speak a very specific tribal dialect of Afghanistan. And this student has now found somebody else that also speaks that same language, and they've swapped phone numbers. And do you know what I mean? It's that kind of, it gives you goosebumps, doesn't it? That kind of stuff when you see it going on. But yeah, we just thought, let's just do it. Let's bring them all together. It was a kind of a random idea of mine, and they loved it. They absolutely loved it. We had the, you know, assistant principal talking with entry 3 learners about football, sat on a table having lunch together, and they were having really good conversations. And for those students to get that exposure was just brilliant.
That's fantastic. You know, don't want to say that it always comes back to food in ESOL, but you know, I was like, you're onto a winner. And I know, Vicky, we don't have a virtual buffet. I'm really sorry. If it was like IRL, we probably would have a buffet. So after you guys have presented, we're going to have a lunch. So I think you can have a real better than a virtual one anyway, isn't it? Thank you so much, Amy, especially with you rushing around today. Really, really appreciate you coming here, sharing. And
welcome. I'm going to stick around for a little bit, but I'm just going to be diving in and out the room, but I am still listening.
Awesome. Thank you, Amy. Right, folks, we're now going to move on over to Vicky and Alex. I hope your Wi-Fi holds on out for us, Alex, for the next 20 minutes. But these folks are from Essex ACL, and they're going to be sharing their teaching nuggets with us all. So over to you, ladies.
So our project was about resources. So this is the title of it. It's Teaching Nuggets, and it's go-to resources for supporting ESOL, low-level literacy and learners with and low-level literacy learners with digital skills. And we are Adult Community Learning Essex. So we have centres all over Essex, so quite fast spread. And I'm ESOL curriculum lead, and Vicky is English curriculum lead. Vicky?
Right, so over to me. So why did we want to do this? Well, like many of you have already said in your previous presentations, we felt like there were a great sector of our learners who were missing out on digital, improving their digital skills. And we didn't really feel like we wanted, people to be left behind. We wanted it to be inclusive. And we thought, how can we do this? What can we do to try and make it a more inclusive experience for people with low-level literacy skills? We also had a number of tutors that lacked confidence to teach digital skills to ESOL and literacy learners. They were only putting on digital courses for people that had level 1s, for instance. in English. And we also had IT tutors who felt like they were less equipped to differentiate for ESOL and literacy learners. And also we felt that, as per usual, tutors were completely overwhelmed by the number of resources that are out there, and that they, because we work in adult community learning, so tutors were going to all different sorts of places to try and find the resources. And we wanted to try and find something that was an easy to use resource that they could utilize in any classroom across the curriculum, but obviously specifically for IT, ESOL and literacy for this project. Okay.
Yeah, so just go back to what Vicky was just saying about the why. It was really a bit of a light bulb moment for us at the beginning of the academic year, when we, like a lot of other providers, put on some internal CPD, how to embed digital skills within your teaching, and there was a lot of thinking about it and a lot of links shared, and I came away from that really feeling like, wow, we've really bamboozled people just when we needed to not be bamboozling them. A lot of meta language about embedding, and really it was at that point I realized that this needs to be a simple thing. Like, the embedding of digital skills needs to not be rocket science. It needs to not be up in the stratosphere of thinking. It needs to be just practical teaching ideas. And then this evolution of the word nuggets came about. So practical nuggets that you could literally pick up and go with, in a similar way that you may have, when you're time poor, lesson planning, and you just go to your tried and tested workbook, olden days, photocopy an activity, and off you go. So it was that kind of thinking. So the project was about collaborating as well, like a lot of other people have said today. So that was a big intention for us as well, was to pick all of the ideas from all those different departments: IT teachers, English teachers, and ESOL. So it was definitely about collaborating. And like I've just said, it was about creating easy to use resources, and ideally fun ones that you would want to use, rather than ones that you'd be like, oh, it's a bit of a boring activity. And it was obviously about promoting digital skills and the teaching of literacy and the ESOL teaching pedagogy, and sharing that, promoting it. So we and about encouraging a practical approach to resource creating and sharing. So bringing, like I said before, bringing it out of the high level thinking and just making it a practical thing. And about bringing parts of our organisation together and then extending that. So the project really helped us to then think about how to share it outside our organisation, and some of the work we did with Chloë about sharing and like writing blogs and getting it into the David said, the community of practice, and just giving it a bit of reach. That opened that up for us as well. So our question to you at this stage is into the chat: how would you share resources across your organisation? So one issue that came up for us and that Chloë helped us with was, when we'd created these resources, how do we actually share them without it then becoming more of the more of the problem that we'd already had, which was, there's too many resources. So in your organisations, how do you share resources, or what are your thoughts on that? Quick, have a go in the chat. I can't see anyone, but hopefully I'll be able to see stuff in the chat. So if anyone's got any sort of ideas on how would you share new resources that have been created within your organisation. Oh, good, there's some responses coming in. Okay. Oh, digital marketplace, Google Drive. Yeah, we share via it. Yeah, staff room chat. Okay, yeah, peer-to-peer event, Dropbox, nice. Staff meetings. Yes. Lovely. Yeah, great. Yeah, I mean, because one of the issues we have as an adult community learning provider for the whole county is that we don't have a single staff room. So that is an issue that comes up in our organisation a lot. We don't have that sort of one place where people meet and mingle, and obviously sort of COVID had changed the sort of dynamics of the workplace a little bit anyway. So yeah, some of those ideas started coming out, and we've got Teams, so we were sharing it on Teams, and we did find that it was still a little bit getting lost within all of the stuff that was available. So we weren't quite meeting the brief. Sorry. So Chloe came up with the idea for us that I'm just trying to move my screen on. Is it not moving on? My screen's not moving on. Okay.
Want me to do
Here we go, right. Okay, I'll come back to that one. So just leading on from what we've just been discussing, I'll go back to that one, Vicky, and you can talk about it. So Chloe prompted us to ask our staff, where do you go to get your resources? So we needed it to be something that they would use and it wouldn't just get lost. So we asked them, when you're creating a lesson, what are your go-to places for creating resources? And we did a Menti, and a lot of stuff came back about various textbooks. You know, people do still use textbooks that are in the cupboards, and various websites, BBC Learning English, etc. And Skills Workshop came up, and I looked into the idea of getting these resources uploaded to the Skills Workshop, and that became for us a really nice way of sort of publishing the resources, and they're all available, and we can share those with you as well. And that became a really nice way of publishing them, and they became sort of like we'd intended, like nuggets of teaching that people could just insert into their lessons. So this is what they looked like. They all had like names, like this one, for example, was a popular one, Supermarket Sweep, and you get you get the resources you need for it, you get a short lesson plan, and instructions on how to deliver the activity, basically. So yeah, that's what they look like. Vicky, shall I go back to?
Yes, please.
This one, sorry.
You're like Eric and Ernie, but you're improvising, aren't you?
Sorry.
Without the jokes. So my slide is, what have we done? Well, Alex has just explained what we've done. So we actually did create some quick, easy and fun resources that any tutor could use using the same format. And that's been really, I know it seems rigid, but that's been key, really, having that same format so if anyone's got an idea, as long as it fits into our little format, we know it's pick up and go, create the PowerPoint that goes along with the lesson structure, and knowing and being free that it can just be a 10-minute thing. It could be a 10-minute thing, it could be expanded into a half-an-hour thing. It is entirely up to how the tutor wants to use that resource. So we encourage learner confidence using tech, because we were putting these into different classes. Using them in classes don't usually go in tech rooms, like a lot of our ESOL learners don't often go into tech rooms on a regular basis. It emboldened tutors to teach digital skills, because it was like, I'm just going to give it a go, and I've got to do this once. It's no good saying to a tutor, you need to embed digital more. How? What am I going to do? Give them one thing that's going to give them a bit of confidence. I've got lots of tutors who do not want to teach tech at all and are really frightened of it, and we are now mentoring them with these, and they can go off and do it, and we'll support them with that one thing, and that should be a catalyst, we hope, to encourage them to teach more tech in class. Well, not teach it, but use it. Use it in class. And it also worked towards emboldening IT tutors to approach differentiation with ESOL and literacy learners. That was really great, getting them all together and just hearing IT tutors going, oh yeah, actually I'm not so fearful now of supporting these learners who haven't got those language skills and reading skills. They've actually really, as David said earlier, they've actually got really good IT skills. So there's so much there. So it's just really giving them that boost, that confidence to go ahead and take it forward. I've done with that bit, Alex. You can move on.
Okay. So I'll keep going backwards rather than forwards.
Go forwards.
Okay, so I've talked about that. Now we are going to look at we're going to look at a video of a learner who's going to explain what he's up to.
Yeah.
Maybe
there's a play button in there.
Is that going to make it play?
I don't know. Haven't you got a play button?
Oh, there it is.
Oh, good.
What we are doing is we are looking at some of our local library stuff, where our proper local one is, and I'm searching up Culture to the Library.
Okay, how did you search for it? What did you have to do to try and find it?
Well, I had to look on the internet.
Yeah.
And just typed in Culture to the Library.
Yeah.
To make sure type it in, see what time they're opening hours are, and to make sure what times they're open and that, and what they got on and that.
Okay. What sort of things have you going to be looking up to see what's on?
I'll be clicking on what's on, like see what's coming up. So I'll click down the bottom, view all library events, and then it will come up.
Okay. Okay, I'll come back and ask you some more questions at the end when you found out some more.
Thank
All right?
you, Vicky.
Did everyone hear that?
Yeah, we could hear. It was
I couldn't hear it. So.
Oh dear.
Anyway.
Okay. That was just one. That was one of the library nuggets. Actually, it's going to come up quite a bit because the reflections we've got from tutors were on the library nugget, and that was about how to join the library. And I was lucky enough to go and visit an SL class and see them in action. So that was one tiny snippet. I didn't get enough, obviously. Alex, do you want to press the next one, because that's Caroline's reflections. It's the tutor's reflections who's teaching this class. It's an audio.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So we've got next couple of slides.
Just press inside the bubble where it says tutor reflections.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So can you see that?
Yeah. So the next couple of slides are tutors' reflections. So we asked tutors to talk about their experiences. So this is Caroline.
Right.
I thought the task was really good. The students obviously had a lot in common about libraries, even though they hadn't used a library recently.
The audio has stopped.
Sorry. Oh,
may not work.
I can't hear the audio for some reason.
Because of COVID.
Maybe we should try the video with Karen.
Is that working?
Yeah.
I was
we can
really
hear it.
surprised by the discussions it was creating as they were researching different libraries in different areas and what facilities and what those libraries actually do for events and things like that. So yeah, it's created good discussion and good feedback.
And also, what about discovering other aspects of their digital skills that perhaps you hadn't noticed before about some of the learners, particularly this learner over here, Ali, that we were talking about?
Yeah, so we don't normally use an IT room. It's not usually available to us. So that has surprised me as well. A lot of the learners have got quite competent IT skills. And Ali, surprisingly, we struggle in class to get him to write, but his IT skills seem really good. So that's been an eye-opener for me and obviously a path to explore. The others, some learners need a little bit more confidence on where to click and how to get back using the back button to the main page, the website page. And others are just, clicking away and going for it. So it's been quite good from that point of view. It's given them quite boosting confidence.
Yeah. Okay, thanks.
Okay, it's finished, Alex.
Lovely. Okay, great. Do you want to explain a bit more about Caroline's experiences?
Yeah, well, not really, because she's self-explanatory. You know, it was an eye opener for her to start using tech and do some of these digital nuggets with the SL learners, which would normally not be in a tech class, and noticing that, you know, I know it's an obvious thing, that some of them were really interested, engaged, and wanted to write more, you know, using tech than they did with a piece of paper and a pen. I know that's pretty obvious, but it's just giving the tutors that opportunity to go ahead and say, you can do this.
I think with Caroline as well, she was a really good example of how it helped boost confidence of people who may have always been like, oh, embedding digital skills, what does that mean? I don't understand, you know, like what, are you asking me to teach digital skills? So in contrast to Karen, who we're going to look at next, she was more on that side of it. But by the end of the project, her enthusiasm for doing this was really high, wasn't it? So in her classes, but also for making the resources. So she contributed a really lovely one towards the end of the project about using PowerPoint, and the theme was about endangered animals, and that's gone on to the skills workshop, and it's really nice to see her journey recognised like that, and I think she got quite a boost out of that as well.
Yeah.
So next is Karen Gowlett. So I don't know, some of you may know Karen because she's an advanced practitioner teacher with us, and she's our teaching and learning mentor, and she works in quite a lot of various areas, and she's so she works with a lot of our tutors, helping people to develop their teaching, but also she teaches ESOL. And here is me and her having a conversation about her use of teaching nuggets. Is it just going to play if I press?
Hopefully.
Hopefully. No.
Listen, I'll make sure that it's on your webpage so people can watch it. Okay, so people can watch that video. But crack on.
Yeah, it's basically Karen Gowlett, who's got quite a lot of experience teaching and supporting teachers with digital skills. She trialed some of the resources, and she's reflecting on that basically. So.
Do you think you might be able to get the other little video going with this case study?
Hold on a sec.
Got to share. What do you want?
I know, but it's not asking me to enable content when I share this now. Right, share again. Where am I? Here we go. Share screen. Oh, share sound. Yes. Hopefully the next one works. So the next one is more about the learner journey. And this is a learner who had been through various courses with us, and I'm hoping this plays. Yes, it's got a play button there. So I didn't actually record himself because unfortunately by the time the project had come to an end, he was no longer with us. So I just missed out on being able to actually interview him, but I put together a little summary of what he did with us. Okay. Oops. So, right. Vicky, is this you?
Yeah. Did you want to say anything else about Jihad? Because it's
just that he was a really good example of how he'd gone, you know, he'd done everything he should, you know, like he'd done his ESOL, he progressed in his ESOL, very keen, very engaged, and then embarked upon the whole digital skills journey in the sense that we developed this course to help learners access digital skills qualifications. It was first of all a stepping stone course, and then moving towards actual EDSQ course for ESOL learners. But he actually did a regular EDSQ course due to the time in which he enrolled for it. So that was a really good example of how we supported the teacher in how to differentiate for his language needs in that class. And we did a lot of peer observation between the two our main ESOL tutor in that centre and the EDSQ teacher there. And they, as part of this project, they looked at resources that could support him within that non-ESOL environment in the digital skills EDSQ course, but in terms of sharing resources, the teaching nuggets, for example, in order to support his language in that context. And as a result, he didn't actually pass first time his EDSQ entry 3, but he then had a bit of it further enrichment with again, we used some of the nuggets with him, and he did then pass. So it was a success story. Yeah.
Okay. So the impact, well, we've touched upon that anyway. I'm wary of the time because we must be running over and we've got rumbling stomachs. So the impact is that the learners have had increased access to digital skills. It's been improved collaboration between curriculum areas, although we want to improve that even more. And digital delivery can be easy and fun. This is what we're trying to make that. So that's the top tip for our digital nuggets, is that we want them to be fun activities that are really engaging for the learners. And tutors can feel confident in delivering those nuggets. And it has had a positive impact on the tutor morale. They've been really pleased about, they probably wouldn't have gone ahead and tried to get things published on Skills Workshop, but we've given them that push to do that, and that's given them a lot of confidence and felt really proud about doing that. And it's inspired creativity with our, cross-curricular collaboration. So I won't say what next, too much about what next, is that we're just carrying on. I mean, the library nugget's been brilliant for me. I'm the English lead, and we've got great connections with the library now. They've heard about the digital nugget and we're using that. It's going to be a two-way process. So we're getting, actually, Karen, you didn't see the video with Karen, but Karen got her class all joined the library and went there, and it's the first time we've actually been in there, and it's been great. It's been a really positive thing. So that's what we want to continue to do. We want to continue to develop more digital nuggets. We want to improve them and review the ones that we've got, because they're ever changing, and measure the impact of that on learners' skills, and just carry on and create custom-made digital courses, which I know Alex is doing with ESOL, to carry on what we're doing, and it's got a legacy. It's not just going to end here. I think that's what we're trying to say.
I mean, an example is that we've recently put together some courses to run through the summer for supporting Ukrainian refugees, and I've put together a scheme of work for the tutors who are going to be delivering that, and again, the Joining the Library nugget is included in that resource pack for that course as well. We've noticed that in a lot of sort of OTLs and supporting teachers, we've been embedding some of these teaching nuggets as part of the stuff that we can do to encourage certain action points on from observations and stuff like that as well. So yeah, they've been really useful. So there you go.